You've been running around, throwing that dirt all on my name. Cause you knew that I knew that I'd call you up. You've been going around every party in LA. Cause you knew that I knew that I'd be at one.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Alright, let's do a quick mic check. I'm gonna drop down the music. Turn down the music. Did you guys miss me? Awesome. Santiago. We got Julian. Jay Styles. How's it going? Dan Ackerman. Don't forget to pray, says Red Pandas, and I pray every night. The music's not too loud, right? Let's jump right into it, shall we? Because my, we have a lot to talk about. And I don't want to blow my energy. Let's go. Good morning. My name is Sean Dexter, and welcome you guys back to a Mago live stream. How much did you guys miss me? Because I'm back. I am back because the opportunities are freaking here now. These are the times I love the markets the most. I don't know why. I'm like the most bearish bull, I guess, if you want to call it that. But the market is just so much more fun. I don't want to say fun. Fun's not the right word. It's just so much more interesting, right? There's so much money to be made at these phases where I guess the excitement comes in from that, the promise of what is to come. Because when the market's already sitting at like 4x, 5x, you kind of, you gotta really reach for the dream and the excitement, right? But now, at these phases, my oh my, when has it not been a good time to be buying closer to the weekly 200 moving average and the altcoins? Again, I'm gonna stand by my case in that altcoins have not been this exciting in like 5 years. And you guys know I'm not like an altcoin mega bull by any means. I've been very, very negative and cautious on altcoins for the past like 4.5 years. You guys know that. Those of you who have been following me. So those of you who are new here, if you guys are joining this channel and think, oh my god, here we go, another altcoin maxi. No. I'm very rarely feeling bullish on altcoins. And it's been a while where I've been actually struggling to decide where I want to be allocating. We will be going through altcoins that you guys are interested in as well today. So let's do a quick agenda. We're going to be, of course, going over Bitcoin. I'm going to be talking to you guys about the current structure of things, the weekly close that we just had. We're going to be doing a quick update on the QTUM index, which was our hedge position on Bitcoin last year. And we have something interesting to talk about over there as well. Then we're going to be doing XRP. Remind me to do CARDANO, because I know a few of you want me to do an update on CARDANO. And on Bitcoin, we're going to do a we're going to go through a list of indicators, attributes, call it what you will, that I want you guys to keep an eye on consistently as the weeks unfold. That's how you will be building your conviction, or reducing your conviction based on how those indicators unfold, right? We already do have a few things that are looking interesting, right, that you cannot ignore. So are we good to begin? Any questions that you guys may have? I was almost thinking you would I can't, for some reason my chat is being cut off. He thought I was gonna sing the song. No, man, I'll leave the singing to Krisha. Is my thingy too big? Should I reduce it? Is this good, or do you guys like it a tad bit bigger? Julian, do you want us to look at anything in particular? Santiago, questions that you may have? Now is a good time to be asking. Hey Steve, how's it going, buddy? Dan says slight bounce before more downside, it seems like. A lot. I do want to say that if you guys are looking for a huge mega bounce to indicate a market bottom, I don't think that is necessary for a bottom to be put in place. So be careful on that. Just like how people used to say you need a euphoric top for the top to be put in place, I never bought into that idea, and that proved to be correct multiple times now. So similarly on Bitcoin, you're not going to need to see a huge bounce for signs of a bottom. But if we do see a huge bounce at the right time, it's going to be a lot easier, right? So let's put it this way. The tops and bottoms are not going to be as easy as they used to be in the past. All right, so I'm going to jump into it. I just want to make sure I can see everything before I do begin. We're going to be just keeping an eye on the dashboard, right? Every morning, every night, you want to just wrap up your view on the dashboard, because it's going to check your bias. And one of the reasons I've been building conviction, or rather excitement, on the altcoins is because one of the routines I like to follow is I like going through all the time frames and just keeping an eye on the top right hand corner over here to give me a view of how the market is doing. And if you click through, you're going to see that the market wide trend across all time frames is pretty freaking ugly, right? It's not something that you want to long into. That being said, the second part of the routine does make me raise an eyebrow, because when you filter, what you can do over here, guys, is filter onto your Bitcoin pairings only. So it's going to show you all coins against Bitcoin, which is telling you how your altcoins are performing against Bitcoin, okay? And what I do over here, right, is I filter Bitcoin pairings, and then I also filter long. So I'm only looking at the coins that are long against Bitcoin. So for now, I'm going to reduce the volume a tad bit more, because this music is a bit more on the exciting. You know what? I'm gonna change the playlist. Give me a sec. I'm going to get back to this. How's this, guys? Okay. So what I'm looking for over here is to see how many coins are long against Bitcoin on the particular time frame, and which coins are consistently staying on that list, right? Tron has been on here for months now, right? ZEC as well. Neo just started popping up in here, which is really good. It filtered its way through the low time frames, which is a sign of massive strength. Then I go through all the time frames from the weekly all the way down to the 4-hour, right? So the 4-day time frame, the 2-day, the daily, the 12-hour, and the 4-hour. And what's interesting over here, guys, is that you're going to be seeing far more coins long over here against Bitcoin than when we were when Bitcoin was dumping and the altcoins weren't. Essentially, let me put it this way: compared to every other market, where you see massive dumps on Bitcoin, all get destroyed against Bitcoin. So you wouldn't be seeing too many on the list over here. Maybe one or two outliers. This time around, the opposite's happening. As Bitcoin dumps more and more altcoins are refusing to dump as much as Bitcoin, right? What does that tell you? It's telling you that either there's bullishness on altcoins or the sellers are exhausted. As traders / investors, both are the same thing to you. All that you should care about is there a disequilibrium between the buyers and the sellers, where you have more buyers than the sellers, or you have more sellers than buyers, right? If you have more sellers, you want to kind of be away from that kind of market. What you want to see is that there are more buyers than sellers. It doesn't matter whether you have huge buyers or huge sellers. You just want to see more buyers than sellers, especially if you're at the phase where liquidity isn't that important to you, where you can get into markets that are tinier. That's why altcoins are so exciting, right? Because if you are coming in with huge size, altcoins are not exciting to you because you can't get position, or you can't risk manage the position because it's very hard to get out. Use your advantage. If you are starting off small, right? I always tell people you do not need to trade the same way that people with huge sizes need to trade, because they need to go find bigger markets. You don't need to. You can find altcoins that just have this very simple concept where you are looking for more buyers than sellers, and that could literally come from sellers being exhausted. It could be the most bearish chart, but there are just no more sellers. Then all it takes is that incremental marginal buyer to start putting in a trend on that. Like it's that simple sometimes, and those kind of phases show up now. So you go through the 4-day, you're seeing like 12 entries. Look at the 2-day, 17 entries. Daily, 16, 12-hour, 9 now, and on 4 hour it'll be even less, 10. Okay, good. This is actually improved. So you do this every single day, right? And you're going to see that this list will give you an understanding of which coins to be in, which coins to ignore, etc. So one of the things that I've been doing is using the favorites list over here, the favorites feature. For those of you who don't know, what you can do, I'm just going to go ahead and filter out everything. So we have all. Okay, you can just click on the star symbol over here, and it'll show you all your favorites, right? Now the ones I'm keeping an eye on is Bitcoin, ZEC, BNB, Hype, Useless, and again, thanks to the folk on our Discord channel, Trader Fraser, Bird, Avi, etc., have been keeping an eye on all coins that I otherwise would not have kept on. And guys, people are making a lot of money on coin. There's no reason that you should not be making money right now. There's no reason. If you are not making money and you're blaming it on your altcoin or blaming it on the bear market, I am telling you, and I'm very rarely this harsh, this is a skill problem that you guys have, right? There is money to be made in this market, and it's currently actually not, people saying, oh, it's been a difficult market. It's been a difficult market if you focus only on the coins that you're attached to. If you're telling yourself, oh, I only want to make money on Bitcoin, oh, I only want to make money on XRP, oh, I only want to make money on Cardano, then you are gonna find it difficult because you're limiting yourself to that opportunity. And those coins are not always going to run. So there'll be phases where it's in a downtrend and you're forcing yourself to go long on that. It's going to be very difficult. You're making it difficult. So one of two things you can do. Make sure that you play both sides, where you're willing to put on short trades just as much as you're willing to put on long trades. In that case, you can trade only one asset, right? If you're going to go long only and also say, I'm going to go Cardano only or Bitcoin only, then it's going to be very, very difficult, okay? So it's a skill issue if you're not making money, because there are coins that have been trending really, really well. I showed no qualms getting into Hype. In fact, I showed a lot of frustration and I berated myself for missing the first run on Hype. Do you guys remember that? Anyways, I'm rambling, but a lot of you guys love the rambles. A lot of you guys learn the most from the rambles. So we're gonna jump on over to Bitcoin. Any questions? Hey, I was like, is Cardano $1? We are going to look at Cardano. So as soon as I run through the agenda, hashtag, we're going to do XRP and Cardano as well. Bitcoin over here, look at that. Short, weekly, neutral, right? It's not. Do you really want to be going long on this, like leverage long? Most definitely not. Do you want to be accumulating for a super long-term position? maybe we're going to go over that very, very soon as well. ZEC2 has flipped recently, 4-hour short, 4-hour neutral, 12-hour short, daily short, 2-day short. Not the most exciting anymore, right? BNB Bitcoin, I like this. Okay, now I'm looking at BNB BTC. You guys can look at BNB USDT, and that held the range as well on the weekly close, so looking good to me. The way I'm looking at BNB is that BNB Bitcoin chart made me a lot of money last run. I'm going to be following mostly the same thing again. Hype still looking really, really good, with opportunity showing up on the lower time frames, right? When you have the high time frames, long, like the weekly and the 4-day, right? 4-day, mid time frame-ish, long, higher mid time frame, I would call it. These are two time frames I like. And 2-day showing neutral, that is showing me in my head a bull flag. Another really cool feature on the dashboard, by the way, guys, is you can hover over these little mini charts over here to give you a quick view of how each of those time frames are looking at on that asset. So hype over here, you can see that weekly is looking like a freaking bull flag, right? I could just picture, looking at the trend profile, I could picture the bull flag, and boom, now you can get a quick view to practice what your mind is telling you. What's the 4-day looking like? Really good. What's the 2-day looking like? There you go. There's the neutral, right? You're seeing the neutral trend. Here, 4-hour, short trend. 12-hour, there you go. Massive pullback on the 12-hour. So you guys can see now how you guys can use the dashboard now, guys, to start calming your fears when looking at lower time frames, right? And start calming your excitement too when looking at lower time frames. Because look at this. You look at the weekly. Whoa, that looks so good. Now you switch on over to the 4-hour. Well, 4 looks great. 12. 4 actually looks good. The 4 is saying neutral, right? So the 12-hour looks ugly, right? But the weekly looks great. And the 4-hour is showing a rounded bottom. Ooh, whoa. Isn't that brilliant? That shows me that the weekly is looking great. The 12-hour has a pullback, which means pullback into weekly support, trend support, and the 4-hour, the super low time frame, is showing me a reversal. So that pullback of the 12-hour is now beginning to reverse. I would want to be looking to play that towards the long side, right? Does that make sense? Mr. Plow, always, I don't know. I went long on H bar and XRP at the bottom, bud. I don't understand the condescend. Why be condescending when you're agreeing with me? You're playing multiple coins, and that doesn't make sense. What do you want to say? You're literally agreeing with me, and being condescending for no reason is not a good look, man. Chris Jellybird says we come always for your rambles. There you go. Hashtag says I already answered that. Here, hope all is well, broski. Got to catch you. Love you. Oh, Manjiro, my man, it's been a while. Good to see you. Okay, let's continue. Now I want to jump on over to the actual charts. We're gonna be looking at, by the way, this is a new Mango View on the new dashboard. You guys can find it at app.mangoresearch.co. Who needs Trading View anymore? The Mango dashboard. Look at me, I'm dropping rhymes here for you guys too today. This is Krisha's. These are Krisha's drawings, by the way. I have no idea why she's using my account. She's just so lazy. Krisha, if you're watching this, log on to your own freaking account. Stop drawing on my charts. You're causing biases for my personal trading. That being said, though, who wouldn't want Krisha's support and resistance zones done for them automatically, right? So Krisha is essentially, I think, trying to point out over here that this was the buy zone, her buy zone for the last cycle, or maybe she's saying that this zone over here corresponds to this zone over here, right? I think that's what she's trying to say. Anyways, what I'm looking at over here is the weekly 200 moving average, and down over here, the Mango Pulse. You guys can't see it. I'm going to move myself. Look at me. Magic, guys. I'm floating. Look at me. I'm Dumbledore. Shumbledore, they like to call me. Shumbledore says bearish regime on the Mango Pulse. Bull score 2 to 5. So the Mango Pulse is saying bearish regime. Okay, but we do have a bull score of 2 points. It's literally telling you while things are bad, there's at least two. Wait, I disappeared. What am I doing? Okay, Shumbledore is terrible. Yeah, well, maybe I do undo. Is that good? Okay. Oh my god, man, I'm terrible. Okay. Oh, you didn't mean to sound. Okay, I'm sorry, man. It's lost in chat translation. Okay, so what I was trying to do, I was trying to move myself. I'm not sure whether I did that properly. So that way you guys can see the Mango Pulse scoring at the bottom over here. It's telling you that the bear scores 3 out of 5, but the bull scores 2 out of 5. So if you're a bull, you have 2 points to hang your hat on, right? What I want you guys to focus on is the combination of the two, the Mango Pulse, along with the fact that we're sitting on the on the weekly 200 moving average. And I have to say I'm a bit surprised because I wasn't all that convinced that Bitcoin would hold that weekly 200 moving average, but it did. It did hold the weekly 200. How do they do that on those Instagram videos? How do they point perfectly? Yeah, there you go. It did well. It did well. So this is something to keep an eye on, right? If you guys watched the live stream from over the weekend, I wasn't all that. What I said was I'm looking for information now. I was looking for information because what we were the bull side, guys, that we were looking for was over here, right? We were looking for that continuation of the cloud that we unfortunately did not see. I think I have the cloud over here. Yeah. So the weekly cloud, why is it showing like this? Anyways, we had the weekly cloud over here where we were looking for the edge to edge trade to the top of the green line over here, right? Which is the top of the cloud. Unfortunately, we did not see that. We lost the weekly cloud and we started breaking down. And if you guys turn off the cloud, and what you're going to do is turn on the Mango Horizon right over here, you're going to see that we lost the weekly Mango Horizon support as well. So it wasn't a good look for Bitcoin overall. Losing the weekly cloud, losing the Mango Horizon, the next obvious target was actually the weekly 200 moving average. Trader Fraser from the Mango C program called that out as well, and we tapped it perfectly over there. Why? I'm gonna have to refresh this page. Something else, right? That we're on useless now. Something else that I did want to talk about was this on quantum. Okay, so the weekly 200 moving average, Bitcoin tapping it just when the quantum chart, which is our hedge against Bitcoin, right? We put on this hedge on, or rather, we start scaling into this hedge. All the way back in around April, I did a deep proper presentation around August or September for the Mango seedlings. If you guys are interested in the Mango Seed program, by the way, check it out at themangoway.com/seed. Every week we have a seed clubhouse session where we go over the macro opportunities, the global opportunities, and how to be thinking about your long-term positioning and your portfolio, etc. Right? It is. I always say this is seedling. Seed is not just about technical analysis and the charts. It's literally a way to approach life and being happy. And we're always concentrating on those kind of things. How can we put on positions that reduce your stress? And one of the things that I just did not like was how the entire Bitcoin community was approaching the quantum narrative last year. And their approach was essentially do not approach it. Nobody was talking about it. It was a serious concern, in my opinion, a bigger concern than the security budget concern, the issuance concern, blah blah blah. Those are very, in my opinion, those are consensus problems, while the quantum problem was an actual technical unknown problem, which is far more scarier if you're not talking about it. So we decided to start looking for ways to counter that, or rather hedge that, because I'm Bitcoin heavy, right? I don't want to put my family on the line. I don't have that stress. I don't want to go to bed every night wondering, oh my god. So again, in an effort to keep it mango, keep it easy, keep it stress free, keep it Hakuna Matata, we decided to put on a position, and I explained this in detail in that Seed Clubhouse session. I did a proper presentation, and those kind of things are important, right? It gives you conviction to put on something similar. My idea was this: we long quantum, right? We get exposure to quantum, and that way, if quantum does really, really well, and Bitcoin decides to just do nothing and become a victim of quantum, at least our quantum position hedges against that. If quantum does really, really well, and Bitcoin also does something about becoming quantum resistant over the long term, then they both go up and we win. If quantum does really, really well and doesn't end up being a threat to Bitcoin, then they both go up and we win. If quantum does bad and Bitcoin says, look at that, quantum ended up being nothing, just this hocus pocus, then well, quantum does bad, but our Bitcoin does well, right? So the idea was we can put on a position over here where they could both do well, or one does well and the other does bad, or one does bad and the other does well, right? Often, guys, you're going to be putting on a portfolio position where a portfolio structure where not everything's going to win, right? Not everything's going to win at the same time. In fact, if everything's winning at the same time, you are kind of losing elsewhere. It's just hidden. It's out of your portfolio, right? I can give you a scenario, for example. Let's say everything's long, right? Everything's doing well on your portfolio. Well, is your USD position doing well? You might not be putting it into your portfolio, but you do have a USD position somewhere, right? So your USD position in that regard is actually losing its ability to buy assets, right? It's getting devalued relative to assets. So something is always losing on your portfolio, right? So now over here, a quantum position is kind of taking a hit, just while Bitcoin has come down onto the weekly 200 moving average, and other indicators are beginning to go off as well. We're going to talk about that very, very soon. I know Todd Smith in the other live stream said, "Hey Sean, you might be overreaching over here." And you know what, guys, you would have said the same thing to me in the 2022 bear market when I was looking at a bunch of things where I said these are all signs that we need to keep an eye on for underlying change in market currents, but I will not use that as my trigger to enter positions, right? We use our technical analysis. We use our existing tools that we haven't changed for freaking a decade now. And we're going to go through that today. I'm just giving you guys the mental framework to build the conviction as to why we might be looking for a turnaround. Okay. So yeah, our quantum position, remember, which we essentially started building all the way back in around April, May-ish, and we kept buying, right? The thing is, I told Seedling, so this is a insurance position, and your insurance is getting cheaper and more expensive depending on how much you have relative to your Bitcoin portfolio. So if you don't have enough insurance, you want to keep buying. And if this comes down, right, let's say all the way down to 95, I'm going to be looking at this completely different compared to other positions that I usually buy, because unless Bitcoin solves the quantum problem, I want to constantly add to cheap insurance, and it's already up 3x, so it's high time it does start coming down. We got it around like what 60ish, and now it's like almost at 180ish. Long-term position, so I'll be glad to buy lower. Now, that aside, what's going on with Bitcoin? Okay, I have something over here for you guys I want to go through. Let me just where is it? Middle 87. God damn it, really? Oh, there it is. So I prepared this for you guys over here. Apologies for the language, but yeah, so this is what I want us to go over week after week after week, and we're going to be keeping an eye on this. Okay, these are the main triggers that we used for the previous cycle as well. Bi-weekly dynamic props goes to Julian. He was the one to first spot it, and this time around I want to give props to D2, who found the 10 weekly dynamic. Something I'm going to keep an eye on. I'm not going to add to the list just yet, because if it triggers, I'll add it to the list for the rest of the cycle, right? That's kind of like what we did for the bi-weekly, just to show you guys, bi-weekly dynamic, right? Again, Julian found this, wasn't me, but thanks to him, we all made a lot of money from it. So he noticed it somewhere around here, right, where it kept holding really, really tight. Like we broke into it, kept rejecting, and then held the bottom of it over here too. Popped out to retest it, held. That's when we just started following it throughout the cycle, right? And you can see that as soon as we lost it too over here, retest, rejection, retest again. Really hoping for it to break, as a bull. You hope that. You're hoping for the weekly cloud, Ichimoku cloud, to have its edge to edge and play through, but we should have just followed our edge. What's the point of having edge if you don't follow it, right? We should follow the edge and taking profits over there, but we did not. And we were hoping for the edge to edge. I'm not sure I have regrets on that, kind of do. Because I'll tell you why I have regrets. It wasn't just the digressing over here, but listen to me. Bi-weekly dynamic was resistance over there, and we also had the monthly dynamic. I was watching. It wasn't that I missed it. I was just like, because for the entire week, right? The entire month, we were above this bi-weekly dynamic, above the monthly dynamic, and slapping into the bi-weekly dynamic. So picture this as a green candle, and I'm like, if we can reclaim this, I was like hoping against hope. And I don't want to say hoping against hope. I was hoping for hope. And the truth is that the old me, when I was a lot more aggressive with my stash, right, I would have actually sold into that. The old me, right? And I gave you guys an example of how I did something very, very similar just prior to the COVID dump. And it paid off big time. Over here too, maybe I'm going to look back in hindsight and be like, that was my opportunity, my big opportunity to put on maybe even short positions, and I missed it. We'll find out. Anyways, I digressed over there. So let's go back to all of that's going to be important for you guys to understand, though, because on this list I have the monthly dynamic now because of that experience, right? So we're going to go through this every 2 days. I'm going to give you guys an update. So stay tuned for the live streams. If you're not, if you haven't hit the notification icon, make sure you do so you don't miss the live streams. We're going to look at the bi-weekly dynamic. We're going to look at price over the 10 SMA, over the 21 EMA. All three need to be active according to the way I like to look at it. And we're going to look at the monthly Stokes. When you have all three of these active, price is likely going to be far higher, but you're going to have your full trigger for the trend. Optionally, what we're going to be looking at is the 200 moving average with a buffer of your choosing around the 200 moving average. You can go 20% up, 20% down, and that's going to be a zone where you want to be looking at as a nice buying opportunity. And your fifth optional trigger is going to be the monthly dynamic. So let's go ahead and get started with the bi-weekly dynamic. The bi-weekly dynamic, as you guys can see right in front of you, is bearish, right? You can see, look at the top right hand corner over here, dynamic trend bearish, tempo is not active, bid zone no. So you can't even put on a short position over here. You just kind of gotta wait. This is telling you that the trend is down, and you gotta wait for, let's say, 87,600 before you can get bullish, or before the trigger for the bi-weekly dynamic buy comes into play. So this is a no-go. The next one that we're going to be looking at is the monthly 10 SMA. Switch on over to the monthly, switch on your EMA's 10 SMA, and the yellow line over here is your 21 EMA. The red line, guys, is the 10 SMA. What you're looking for is for the price to be above the 10 SMA, 10 SMA to be above the 21 EMA. Okay, so you want all three. For example, over here, right, Krishan and I were having a debate last cycle. I said that this is not active yet. Why? Because while price was above the 10 SMA and then price triggered above the 21 EMA as well, the 10 SMA wasn't above the 21 EMA. You get what I mean, guys? This is very important. Okay, I'm looking for all three to be active. The 10 SMA needs to be above the 21 EMA, and the 21 EMA needs to, and price needs to be above the 10 SMA. You cannot have this situation. I mean, you can. You can do whatever the hell you want. For me personally, this does not count, right? It was only over here that it counted. And again, by the time that triggers, price might be way higher than it is right now. So you're going to need other additional indicators to kind of balance all of that, right? And that's where we use the monthly Stokes last cycle. This is where you guys, okay, now I've just given you guys bearish news, right? You guys, a lot of you guys are like freaking unsubscribing. Screw this bear. F him. Doesn't know what he's talking about. No. This is one of the big ones. So let's go ahead and talk about the monthly Stokes. This is where you guys are gonna feel a tad bit happier. Not a tad bit. I think this is huge. I honestly think this is huge. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take down the mango mother, and I want you guys to just focus. I'm gonna double click this to zoom in. Trading view. Why are you flopping on me? Oh, right, because I'm on my drawing tools. I always make that mistake. Okay, so right over here. I want you guys to focus on just this zone, okay? Just this area here. We don't care about it crossing or anything like that. All you care about is the Stokes coming down into that zone, coming down into that zone, coming down into that zone, okay? So I'm going to go ahead, delete all of this. I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out, and we're going to go ahead and mark out vertical lines through all of them. Where's it? Over here. Okay, so you can see that it lined up. Okay, each time we had these market bottoms, right? And I'm marking the market bottoms, by the way. I'm not marking on the stocks, but we mark the market bottoms. You're gonna see that I'm gonna zoom back in. It's lined up with, change the colors for you guys because I'm sweet like that. I'm a gentleman. What color do you guys want? Yellow. Tick. Yeah, there you go. So you can see that each time it's lined up with the stocks coming down to that zone. Now it doesn't need to be perfect, right? Over here we don't know if it's going to come down low or not, but historically each time we've come down to that zone, guys, it has been close or at the market bottom. Now, yeah, it may have taken a few more months before the actual trend began, right? But in hindsight, you're like, oh, why didn't I just wait? Because these are like literally, we're looking at 20x's. What was this? This first one was not a 20x, it was way more than that. Let's say you bought there, right? Somewhere there. What'd you get? 7,700%, right? Over here, if you bought, what'd you get? 2,000%. And over here, not that much because Sailor took all of the freaking gains from us. 700%. That's good. Okay, now am I saying go all in over here? No, we still have two of our indicators that are not triggered yet, right? We have the biweekly dynamic that needs to trigger, and we have price over 10 SMA over the 21 EMA that needs to trigger. But remember, I'm telling you guys that if you are waiting for those guys to get trigger as well, you need to be okay with buying much higher, and that's completely fine. You're paying for confirmation. Nothing comes free in life. Buying all in on the monthly strokes is you essentially getting price cheap, but you're paying with risk. Even there, you're paying. Or you're paying with something else, you're paying with risk. Now, we're going to go through any questions on this? How's it going, Michael? Good to see you. Let me just look at the chat properly. Any questions so far? Oh, we're running out of time. we gotta hurry up. Gotta wrap up soon. Santiago says, no questions, keep firing. Yes, I intend on doing just that now. Okay, so the next one is going to be the 200 moving. These are optional. You may or may not look at it. It's up to you. We're going to be keeping an eye on it though. The weekly 200 moving average is very, very important. Right over here. Again, historically, you have never gone wrong. And look at that. We have our yellow vertical lines right from multi-stochastics. It's lining up with somewhere around the weekly 200 moving average. And again, remember what I said over here. Weekly 200 moving average with a buffer around it, right? Now, while we are on the weekly 200 moving average, I don't want us even moving for even if this ends up being respected perfectly, I don't want us to be using it as a perfect line that needs to be respected. I think that's dangerous. I think what we should be doing is saying, let's mark out a zone. Okay, you can go. I'm trying to grab onto it. There we go. You can go like around 20% or 30% above it, depending on your risk tolerance, right? And just mark out a zone and say, I'm okay buying in that entire zone. If you guys have the Mango C program, use your Mango risk management indicator as a way to figure out position sizing using this zone as your invalidation, the bottom of the zone as your invalidation, right? So just simply, and so using the MRM indicator, use the bottom of your zone as your invalidation, right? So the MRM indicator is going to give you your invalidation. Now, honestly, you know what would be great? If you use the MRM indicator and the tool sheet, and if it lines up with the bottom over here, you have that extra confirmation, right, or confluence with your invalidation. You could use the 200 moving average as your entry point, and then use that MRM as maybe your stop loss. But I would look to see whether it lines up at the bottom of the zone and use that as your invalidation. It might line up as an invalidation too. Remember, your stop loss is not your invalidation. Two different things. Those of you who are using your stop loss as your invalidation, again, skill issue. You need to fix that kind of thing. It's a recipe for long-term disaster. Okay, so market a zone like this and say, as long as we are in this zone, I'm willing to buy a little bit. Now, how much of that little bit is the right answer? Well, you have this entire list, right, guys? So now, based on your personality, allocate percents to each of these, right? Put in some work. Don't make it as easy as, I'm buying or I'm not buying. Duh. No. Don't be like these other YouTube idiots. Don't be like these other Twitter fools. You're effing better than that. Be smart. What is your conviction on each of these? And add percents to that. And that way, by the time you get full confirmation, you're fully in, right? Okay, so we've gone through this. We have just one left now. What I would do, by the way, in regards to this, since we're here, I would be doing like a 25% bufferish, right? So this is how you do it. You go 200 moving average, you do like 25% to the upside. That would be somewhere around 77,000, right? So gonna go ahead and just draw a quick horizontal ray over there, and then you do 25% towards the bottom. And this is dynamic, right? So every week you have to adjust this depending on how it moves, how the weekly 200 moving average moves. Okay, cool. So I have those two. So now what we can do is we can adjust the box. If I can move it, right? That's your box, right? That's your buy zone box right now, and you keep moving it as it adjusts. I know it's huge, but look at what that's taking you down to, $48,000. You think we can't come down there? Maybe we can. A lot of people are calling 48,000, right? So now when they say that, and you're buying here, and they're like, oh, what are you buying here? We could come down to 48,000. I'm like, yeah, we could come down to 48,000. No big deal, right? Like, I'm telling you guys, I did the same thing over here, right? For you guys, did matter whether you bought at 151 or you bought at 383 when Bitcoin went up to 20,000. If you guys are noobs to the market and came in at 20,000 and you found a guy who bought at around 350, you'd be like, wow, you're a freaking genius. Well, he didn't feel like a genius at the time. He was feeling, damn, I'm buying 2x from the bottom. Right? Think about that. It's up 100% from the bottom. Who's going to buy here? You know how many people did not buy because it bounced 100%? Right? Think about that. Try to put yourself in their shoes. Same story here, most recent cycle. Once we bounced off 17K, it was still a good buy at 30K, right? Because think about right now, people's bearish targets are around 48K. So 30K was a great buy because it's literally the bottom of the next cycle. Higher than the bottom of the next cycle. Okay, anyways, we digress. Move on. Let's move on. Keep this chart clean. The final one is the monthly dynamic. And after this, we can move on to XRP. This one's very, very simple. We just got to wait for the monthly dynamic to be claimed at around $78,000. That's lining up with our 20% buffer. Do you guys not love that confluence? Huh? Like, it's... Okay, so, 25% buffer. So, that's it. Just wait for that to claim, and that's your final trigger. And once we have that as well, pretty much everything's triggered, right? How's it going, Carl? Good to see you. You're arriving right at the end of the Bitcoin analysis. So I do recommend today more than most other times to go through the entire stream. We covered some really important things. Okay, what we're going to do now to wrap up quickly is we're going to cover hype. Right, I want to cover hype right here. Do have hype. So I have hype right here on the dashboard. So I have the Ichimoku turned on the dashboard as well as the horizon. What I want you guys to focus though on first is the Mango horizon. You guys can see that. So here's the thing. If you go through the time frames, right, it's really interesting. Hype was showing confluence across all time frames on the Mango horizon. Like weekly over here, is showing support zone around 48. On the 4-day, around 58. On the 4-day, you're seeing 58, and on the 2-day as well, right? Yeah. So that lines up with the weekly Ichimoku as well. Or was it the 2-day Ichimoku? The 2-day Ichimoku. Yeah, right out there. I was looking for this to actually break down and come down further. Again, I'm already in position, right? We talked about this last in the previous stream. So the way I'm looking at it is, if it comes down to a point of invalidation, for me, it'll be easier to add to my position, right? Because that way I get to exit the new position that I just added as well as my previous position at the same time. I don't have to like manage multiple portions of my position. Sometimes you're forced to do that when the trend is really strong, and with hype it seems like you might be forced to do that if you want to add to our position that we add all the way down on the 4-day dynamic over here. Now something else that's lining up with that, right, is if you look at the long stop at 47, like top right hand corner, the Mango Horizon will give you your support, your resistance, your long stop as well as your short stop. If you put on the short position, by the way, the weekly line nailed that perfectly as well. Resistance over here. I'm going to turn off the Ichimoku for a quick sec. You can see resistance over here at around 71ish with your short stop at around 81, right? So it gave you your resistance perfectly, gave you your short stop at 81, gave you your long perfectly at around 57. Now we've bounced, but what I really like about this is that your short stop, your long stop at 47.28 is lining up with where I wanted to buy. And why did I want to buy? I wanted to buy there because that would be my invalidation for the entirety of my trade, right? Which lines up with what the Mango Horizon is saying as well, that if you do buy over here, you need to exit if price comes out to 47.24. Remember though, that's your short stop that you need to exit. You should not be exiting on just that. You should be setting up your own invalidation if possible. You should learn how to do those things. Again, skill issue. And that lined up the 4-day dynamic as well. So I like the confluence. We may actually start using the Mango Horizon and confluence with the Mango dynamic to like really boost up those trades to add to existing trend trades, right? So 4-day dynamic trades for your initial entry, and then using the Mango Horizon maybe to keep adding to your trade as the trend breaks up. Julian says, just noticed Bitcoin defended at the bottom of the buy. Yeah, it did. I was looking at that too. The thing is, I don't want to add that in, Julian, because Am I reaching? Because we've not been looking at that, right? We've not really been looking at that, but maybe we should start. Let's see how it defends this. This is what gets really interesting though, Julian, and this is something bearish that we need to keep an eye on. What if we bounce here and then we get the test here? That's going to be really interesting, because if we break over there, I'm seeing like if we reject here, it's not going to happen like that, right? It's going to happen like this. It's going to happen somewhere here with the TK coming there. And then we break in. We better bounce here, man. We better bounce to 71 if we do retest it, because if we do break down, I have to look at the bi-weekly 200 moving average. I know that's far off, and by then we'll likely be reversing the market, but this becomes a strong invalidation at 71K. If we lose 71K after bouncing out of the bi-weekly dynamic, it's not going to be good. So I'll be looking for something like this. We have to. It's not like oh guys, this is a strong possibility. It's a needed outcome at that point, because the bi-weekly dynamic is far down. Like we don't want to be. Yeah. Anyways, we're talking about hype. I think we're done though, right, with hype. That's pretty much it. I think this can keep going. And like I said, all the way back down at around $13 over here when I missed the trade. I'm like, because I missed this trade, I was supposed to get in at 30 and I did not. I'm so sure this is going to run all the way to 100, and it did not fortunately run to 100. It came back down, gave us some nice entries, easier to manage entries at the very least. I still think this goes to 100. I think it goes maybe even beyond that. So at least 100. Let's see though. The trend is your friend. Okay. Oh, I do want to talk about something else in regards to Bitcoin's potential bottoming signals, and then we're going to come back to XRP. This is something really important. I find this really interesting. It's not that important, but important enough. Bitcoin supply, according to on-chain indicators, the amount of supply that is in profit and the amount of supply that is in loss. I'm going to quickly try to explain this to you guys very simply. Essentially, the black line that you're looking at is Bitcoin's price, and the blue line is what is of interest over here. The blue line is essentially showing you the percent of the current supply that is in a profit. It's showing you the amount that is in a profit, okay? Not the amount that is in a loss. It's showing you that the amount that is in profit, okay? And it's essentially the on-chain cost basis that they're using, and the way they calculate this from memory. Now, I haven't gone through these on-chain indicators in a while, but essentially, whenever the coin last moves, that is the price that they take as the cost basis, right? So according to this indicator, if you look at the blue line, you are going to see that 53% at the moment are in profit. But over the past few days, we were at 44%, 46%, and 44%, right? So more than half of the cohort was sitting in losses because, well, it was under 50. And now, because we had a mini bounce, we're sitting at around 53%. If you look historically at if you look at the black line is price. Every time we've come down to around that 45%, 50% level, where we're like at that zone where half of the market is in a loss and half of the market is in a profit, that has lined up with market bottoms, right? Half of the market being in a loss, or almost half of the market being in a loss, has lined up with market bottoms. Now, how much credence do we want to place on this? I don't know, but it does give you an idea of the pain that the market is currently feeling, right? This is worth keeping an eye on, because we have a few things in regards to overall sentiment, right? Because in my view, guys, a lot of the selling has not happened because of Sailor. I don't know why people would think that. I think that is something that is a narrative that people are latching on to because they can't find something else. Price happened first, and now they're blaming Sailor. Everyone was cheering Sailor on the way up, and now suddenly they hate Sailor. I'm not buying into that. The Sailor thing is only going to become an issue at around 25K. I talked about this. And at that point, we have to beg the question, why did it become an issue? And in my mind, a lot of people have been selling because, or even the lack of buying, because of the quantum risk, right? I've been talking about this since last year. This is a bigger thing than people are making it out to be. So we have quantum topping. We have our on-chain indicators also beginning to show signs of stress amongst the sellers. And in my view, a lot of the selling that happened from the smart money was because of a revolt on Bitcoin not moving on the quantum narrative. Now, however, with the whole ZEC drama, people are beginning to wonder, oh, wait a minute, maybe they're not wondering, but they're gonna begin to wonder. Maybe we shouldn't be rushing things. Maybe the Bitcoin way of going slow and really scrutinizing and criticizing and being skeptical, maybe that is the way to go. Maybe just rushing and breaking things may cause the kind of damage. Yeah, that's my alarm telling me that I need to wrap up. It may cause the kind of damage that we may never recover from, right? So, signs are beginning to show. Are we good to do XRP, my friends? XRP and then CARDANO, if Hush is still here. XRP, Ken literally just asked for XRP and CARDANO. You're reading my mind, buddy. Reading my mind. XRP, as you guys can see, I know, Krisha and I are not always on the same page, and if you guys remember, like a few streams ago, not the most recent one, a few streams ago, I looked at the XRP dashboard, I was not liking it, and I looked at the chart. I was not liking it, and Krisha did like it, which is fine. We don't need to be on the same page all the time. But I do want to say this: I've learned the hard way, right? And I kind of pointed out to you guys how I didn't listen to my own edge with Bitcoin, testing the bi-weekly dynamic and the monthly dynamic too, and I was looking at the edge-to-edge trade as the bullish sign. Similarly, right? You gotta make sure that you're not ignoring your edge. And when you have a profile like this, you really have to be like, okay, I am going to be putting on a long position because I like this setup on this time frame, but there are a lot of things that could go wrong here, right? And XRP may have some things going for it, and I'm going to show you guys what it does, right? But you have to admit that all of this over here is going to be downward pressure on it, okay? So what does it have going for it? Well, the dashboard is saying 83 cents as support, okay? XRP is sitting around $1.14. So any bid close to $1, in my opinion, is going to be close enough to support that in the long term, if it gets up to $3, maybe $6, whatever targets that it does end up hitting in the bull market, it's going to be really good buy. And you won't have to feel that much pain if it comes down to 83 cents in the future. So that being said, are there any flags here that we can keep an eye on the dashboard? Bearish Ichimoku, cheap discount zone. We have the golden cross on the weekly. Okay. I want to go take a look at that. XRP USDT. Okay. So I have a zone marked out here for you guys. Okay. This was a zone I marked out a while ago. If you guys remember, this was essentially is a very similar concept that we use on Bitcoin, where you have your uptrend essentially, and then your breakdown. And over here, you want this to continue, right? You want this to continue, but instead it rejects off that point. That's an inflection point, comes down, right? You have a breakdown point over there too, but you have another inflection point. You have another breakdown, right? So that zone over here is going to be a point of interest, because over here a lot of people are going to be looking to play off this level to see whether it holds, because this was an inflection point on the downside. If we lose this level, then all of these points I just marked out for you guys on the way down become your new points of interest. If you look at this, guys, you see this zone here lines up with this zone here. So now you can just stretch that out, right? And that's your next zone of interest, which comes at around 70 cents to 80 cents, which lines up with what the dashboard is telling you as well. It also XRP is actually such a clean chart. It's also the resistance zone for this entire order block, right? So if we lose that level, that's when you guys are not going to like this. We actually threaten to come all the way down to 33, but there's support at 47 as well. Okay, I'm just marking out easy zones. Of course, we could stop in the middle. But guys, this zone over here at $1.09 to $1.18, it's still a zone, and XRP is holding it for now. And we have an entire month to recover, 22 days and 14 hours. If we do recover here, we start putting in a rounded formation at a critical juncture that could lead to a massive recovery, because the only resistance after that is at $2. There's nothing else. I don't see anything else, right? So if XRP can hold here, there's a really good trade all the way up to 205. We may see some resistance right here at $1.64, right? But if you clear that on the way up, yeah, $1.64, you will see resistance actually. But it's not like a huge level. If we bounce off here, I'll be looking straight towards $2. If we lose here though, there's going to be some damage that is going to need to be dealt with. There's quite a few on-chain indicators that point to 60k to 80k being analogous to 16k to 20. Oh, nice. If you could give me like a short list of those indicators, right, Julian, like around 3 to 5 of them, I'm happy to go through them with you guys on the next live stream. It'll be fun. Right, we can start building. You know how we built a thesis around the 17k to 19k region, and we're doing like regular videos. I think it's time. It's time now to bring that back. I'm feeling it. Wasn't feeling it, the past few months in regards to that I'm beginning to feel it now. So that's XRP. Any questions on XRP? We could even use some Fibonacci's to see how it's going. Fibonacci saying around $1 as well. Depends on where you pick your low from, right? Yeah. So if folk are picking this as their low over here, you can see how we already retraced 50% of the move, right? And to a lot of investors, that's enough. They're like, retrace 50% of the previous market. Is that good enough? I'll keep that on so we don't forget next time. Okay, let's do Cardano now. Also, just a heads up, I did discuss oh my God, Cardano. Anyways, I did discuss some really good alternative coin opportunities within the crypto market that are looking really good in the Seed Clubhouse session. If you guys missed that session, please watch it. Not only are there opportunities that we discussed over there, but we give you guys an entire mindset and framework of how to approach this market. And yeah, that coin that I discussed, I'll maybe discuss in the next live streams because we don't have time this stream, but it's already doing really well. So in fact, it's ticking up right now as I speak. So go ahead, and it's not too late to consider getting into a position like that. Of course, this is not a call. I don't make calls whatsoever. I just tell you guys what I am doing and what I'm positioning in and why I'm positioning in, and I give you guys my rationale, my thesis, my narrative thesis, as well as the TA for that. And not too late. Check it out. Make sure you don't miss it. So Cardano, guys, here's the issue with Cardano. Like, if you had to just keep it very simple, right? Let's go. And so that way you guys remove my bias. All you have to do is mark a horizontal on this bottom over here, right? And look at that. So what I'm doing, I'm not moving it just to be unfair. I'm marking these candle closes right there, and then what we like to do usually is mark this candle close there, and then what you do is you draw a box, right? So now that's your neckline for this massive structure. I really liked when Cardano was doing this, like above the zone over here. Losing this was really bad, because now that opportunity to have that trend continuation to the upside, it just got completely dismantled, right? So that was the big ugly sign that needed you questioning whether you want to be in the asset. What really made it ugly, and honestly in my mind made me not interested in Cardano at all anymore, was when it lost this zone over here. We did not just lose it. We lost it and then failed to reclaim it at all. Like, the market refused, right? These are concepts we talk about in the Mango C program, like in the first few modules, about market acceptance, market denial, market rejection, and how important it is if you use your candlestick analysis and you use support and resistance zone concepts. Those two modules alone in conjunction would have told you, hey, wait a minute, the market doesn't want this. Why am I forcing this? And then you add your trend analysis module in conjunction with all of that, you wouldn't be buying this. You would have said, no, I'm going to wait for a better zone for a cheaper price. I'm not saying don't be a Cardano bull, but if you want to be helpful to the community, you need to be able to come in and be a buyer when the market wants to go up, when the market is much cheaper, right? So you would have said, no, this is it. I'll exit what I have, or at least hedge what I have, or at least stop buying and only buy somewhere around here. That's another 46% dump, right? So you're getting your Cardano at 50% discount, 50% cheaper, which means you get 2 times your Cardano, twice the amount of Cardano. So that way, let's say, instead of having a $100,000 profit when it does recover, you have a $200,000 profit. So having a $500,000 profit, you have $1 million profit. Those are big numbers, right? When you double it. So again, all of this is your edge. If you're learning the concepts, use it. Cardano right now is reaching for 13 cents. It's reaching for it. All right, I think with that we can wrap up. The stream is like an hour now. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Keep it mango, keep it easy, keep it stress free. I'll see you guys in the next one. We'll do one more on Wednesday. If you guys have any, again, Julian, if there are those on-chain indicators we discussed, share them in the seed chat, and we'll go through them, and I'll go through them on the live stream as well. Timestamps will be included on this live stream, hopefully in the next few hours. Hakuna Matata, guys. The opportunities are now here.